that were involved in the debate, and so many of you contributing to the discussion. Actually, thank you once again. The focus turns to a more individual style of presentation today, and I think we're going to hear from four of the students on the course, a mix of poetry and drama. We're going to hear from Yi Cheng with a series of monologues from, please excuse the pronunciation, Ella Neil-Dominic, I'm so used to pronouncing first names and not surnames, Isabel Marchowski and Hana Kumar. If I can hand over to my colleagues in literature now, to Harry McCarthy and to Tom Moiser, who will do the individual introductions. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Good evening. I'm Tom. I'm the English tutor, for those who don't know me. A few years ago, I was sitting where you were sitting. I won't say how many years ago, not to conceal my own age, but so that my colleagues don't feel bad about theirs. It was a risk. That's okay. Yeah. I was a student here. I was a student at Sedgman Hall as an undergraduate. I read English. And when I was here, I edited the University Poetry Society magazine for a year. I edited 3 issues. And the first issue I edited, there was a poet, a guy called Luke Kennard, teaches poetry writing at Birmingham University. And I really liked his work, and I realised I knew some people who knew him, so I got one of them to interview him for my magazine. And he said something about writing in that interview, and about teaching writing and sharing writing, that's really stayed with me, and I've been thinking about a lot over the last 2 weeks, working with my 3 writing students in our workshops. He says, this is what he said in the interview for my magazine. It's good to be reminded that writing is this simultaneously competitive thing. You write to impress each other, sure, but also to give something that's worth reading to each other. It's the most selfish and the most selfless thing. And I think what he's getting at is it's kind of cool when you're a writer to be able to stand up here and kind of show off a bit, to say I wrote this, these are my words, this is my voice. But it's also really cool and a privilege to be able to listen to that writing and enjoy it when other people read it. And that's what I've been enjoying the last 2 weeks in our workshops, and I hope it's what you enjoy tonight from our 3 readers. The first of whom is Ella. Ella has a remarkably mature writing voice. She's one of the most well-read people, not only that I've taught, but whom I know. However, we learned this week that she doesn't know what a lot of things are that you and I might know. For example, we told her what fan fiction was, which came as a shock to her, even though she seems to have read most literary journals published in the last kind of 2 to 3 years. I'll hand you over to Ella.
I'm Ella, and this first piece I'm going to read is a 1-sentence story. In canvas markets, over limp fish bodies and split pomegranates, and in hotel kitchens of silverware and bells, it was conspired and confessed that though he was a lord, his affection for his snakes approached the unholy, that, with a low hissing, his acquaintances perhaps attended his funeral in the bodies of unknown aunts, dry eyes above black pearls, that the doors reptilian forms, troubled by neither thieves nor mice, and the wily necks of gilt canvas and opiate lamps that twist accusing towards any visitor to the halls mirrored those who had taken charge of the house, and that you could see them, at midday, curled in the crushed window box pansies, or hanging in blue loops from garden trees, and even keeping warm the pillows on which their master had sighed and slipped from dream to final sleep. This next one is a sonnet. Your questions and mine in perpetual motion, delirious, trembling, frightened things, away and apart, rejoin the commotion, and wish to return to May indigo springs. Sleep matter dissolves, to the night it diffuses, pupils expand in half-woken transmission. Are we the artists? Are we the muses? Nonetheless, separation is mere intermission. Hypnotic longing included, and I'm certain will doze in a blue-green glade, still wondering if we're made of time, and slaves to that of which we're made. And even then, if that is so, if we die in that field, flowers will grow.
Hello everyone, my name's Harry, as you might know by now. I'm not anywhere near as prepared as Tom, I'm also not as well dressed, but I will try to introduce you as best I can. It's actually really rare as a tutor, even on a course like this, that you meet a student whose enthusiasm and her willingness to learn is sort of paralleled perfectly by her talent. But Yi is one such student, I think, in all of her classes. All of her tutors would agree. It's actually also quite rare to find someone who's willing to be on their own in a room with me for 3 hours at a time, so I think she should be commended for that too. She is, anyway, without doubt, a remarkable student, and the progress that she's made in just 2 weeks has been astounding. Before she came on this course, she'd had, I think, maybe 2 walk-on parts in school plays where she'd maybe delivered a couple of lines and then scuttled back off stage, and you're about to see 3 full-length monologues that she's chosen and developed herself, almost without any of my help. So she's going to give you 3 of them, one after each poetry reading. And the first of these is taken from a play by Poliakoff called City Sugar. And it tells the story of Nicola, who's a shy and inarticulate girl from Leicester, who then rises to fame on a radio contest. She's described in the stage direction as having a lot of violence within her, and I think, I didn't really understand what that meant, but I think you did. In the piece we're about to see, it's at the point in the play where Nicola is recounting her first experience of a pop concert. And I think that's something we can all relate to. Mine was the Spice Girls, but probably the less about that said, the better. So without further ado, I will present for the first time Yi.
When you rush out at the end, you can see all the millions of things instead of being dropped, shining all over the floor. Nobody gets a chance to pick them up. And then it was finished concert, you know, and I came outside. It was cold. I was feeling a bit funny. Just walked along out there, and I thought maybe I was bleeding. I looked, but I wasn't. Well, some people like to be after a concert, but I wasn't. Thank you.
Our second reader from the creative writing group is Hana. Now, it's not a quiet group, my writing group, even though it's small. Of three loudish members, I'd say Hana is probably the quietest. Sometimes we can go a whole 10, 15 minutes without hearing from her, which in that group is quite rare. But it's this funny thing where she's very quiet and she'll get on with her writing and she'll make, won't make any sort of fuss. And then she reads it, and invariably after she reads something out loud to the group, there's a kind of silence where this person who was kind of sitting there head down for 15 minutes just writing suddenly says something that just makes us go, wow. So I hope you share in that reaction tonight. Hana.
Out of all the buildings, this one stands out the most. Its green-covered walls encase what would otherwise have been overlooked, and have such an artificial, almost taste to it, that as much as your eyes want to edit this sickly construction out, they can't help but painfully wander back to it. Such is the power of the colour. The mystery of the building remains a mystery to all, apart from a few, who most people skip over and forget, their hands over their ears, turning away from their cries. There you are, in the middle of that infested, populated street, an onlooker to the green shell. Protecting or hiding, we do not know. One ventures in but never comes out, forever trapped. Or are they? The laughs, stares, and small jabs of mockery as people pass the building, not even giving it a second glance. Their time spent more on themselves than anything else. One day, the shell will break and the building will reveal its true self to all, and what will come of it, no one knows but one. For the one that was forever trapped was trapped willingly, and with no regrets, and they will know. They will know that its green will turn to yellow, then brown, then a gold when the sun shines upon it, and no one will turn away again. The castles loom over the inhabitants, casting shadows over the children, students and teachers so deeply in love with their lives. The church bells ring in the distance, eating up the hours. Noise attracts consciousness as some awaken. Some continue their peaceful slumber, their dreams carried away by non-attached angels. As the sun hugs the landscape, the people rise to meet it. Neighbours, friends, the baker just around the corner as you smell the warm, hearty smell of your to-be breakfast. Enjoy the day and rest in the night, and yet there's always one that stays alert, for wisdom is a beautiful bird, and it lives for the rise of the moon, when the stars are like glitter scattered across the dark sky. The cars exhale with a cloud of smoke from a smoker's lips, covering the air with a thick blanket and encasing it within a metal box. The birds paint the sky white with their wings as they soar, with those wishing they could fly, gazing enviously after them.